Let's move on to the backdoor cut and things going on in the NBA. The draft took place yesterday. Before I get to the draft, I like the trade for Westbrook to the Lakers. When it was rumored about a week ago, I was thinking about it and I'm like, I don't know if Westbrook really fits in with LeBron James and Anthony Davis as far as their roster goes. But reflection on it, it does make sense. One, you take away the ball handling duties of LeBron James, not all of them, but he's off the ball a lot more, and that's where he has transitioned more towards the end of his career. So Westbrook can be a good ball handler in that regard. Now he's still very ultra aggressive. He has too many turnovers, but he does create plays, and he has led the league in assists in his career. He's averaged triple double multiple times in his career, so you know he can distribute the ball when he needs to. His shooting is an issue. It's not very good. And the Lakers, that's the team that does need more consistent shooting because even James and Davis are not the best perimeter shooters in a league that's leaning more towards shooting. But as far as interior play, if James and Davis are healthy and with Westbrook creating opportunities, that's a very good thing. But also, I think what you're starting to see as far as I would pencil in if they play a full 82 game season, we use those mathematics. I think James is going to sit out at least 15 to 20 games or be out those games. That's just where he is in his career. Whether it's for rest or injury or fatigue, and it's not his fault. I'm just saying that at this point in his career, he's going to miss those amount of games. Anthony Davis, I mean, the guy is uber talented, and you can make an argument he's a top 5 or 10 player in the league. He just has not been able to stay healthy consistently in his entire career. So, you know, he's going to miss around 15 to 20 games in a regular season. With Westbrook, you know he's going to play a lot of games, and his durability is very strong. So when those guys are out at some point, even if both of them are out, you have a guy that can give you 20 plus points, rebounds quite well, and can distribute the ball and can score. So that's a good thing as far as Westbrook being on the team. Now, I think when it gets to the postseason, you look at all these other squads. Are there some liabilities with the Lakers? Sure. The shooting is a major issue. You look at the free throw shooting, and I have to give Stephen A. Smith credit. I was watching First Take, and you know, Stephen A. and a lot of times I don't like what he says, and I think he's very theatrical, but I have to give him credit where it's due. He made a good point on the show today. The free throw shooting of James and Russell Westbrook is porous. They shoot below 70% from the free throw line. Davis is actually a pretty solid free throw shooter for a post player. But that is a factor that's going to matter late in contests because they're going to get fouled quite a bit. They both draw a lot of fouls, you know, playing on the inside. So that's where it can really hurt them in close contest in the postseason. But they're still, you look at them, they're probably I know Vegas has them as the overwhelming favorite to win the West. I say slow down on that. I think Golden State could be intriguing. If Klay Thompson's healthy, they could be intriguing. Phoenix, if Chris Paul resigns with them, or if he picks up the $40+ million player option with the Suns, which I think he should. And I think that the fact that Westbrook is going to Los Angeles, that probably was I don't say the only team I could see him going to as far as leaving Phoenix and being in a ready-made championship caliber team. Because if he turns down $40+ million for that 1 year, he's going to go to a championship quality ready team. And who would need his services? Brooklyn doesn't. They definitely don't need him. Milwaukee doesn't. They just won a championship. They're rolling. The Clippers. I mean, he has to go back to the Clippers. We don't know how that relationship ended. That may not be the best situation. Denver already has Jamal Murray. Just go down the list of all the championship caliber teams that he can go to and make an impact. It's Philadelphia, but then he has to reunite with Doc Rivers, and they didn't have the best relationship at the end when they were with the Clippers. Phoenix is the choice for him. Now he may turn that deal down and instead of 40 million for 1 year, do 3 years for 90 or something, just to have a little bit more security in the long run. But the fact that the Westbrook made that move to to the Lakers, Paul's not going to go to the Lakers. I think he's going to return to Phoenix. The NBA draft itself, let's start with the Atlanta Hawks. They had two picks in the draft. They selected Duke forward Jalen Johnson in the first round with the 20th pick. You know, interesting thing about Johnson is that he came into to Duke with highly regarded and played only a handful of games for them, but then in February opted out in the middle of the season to focus on the draft. And also, you know, like a lot of COVID things going on, but you know, questions about him and his commitment maybe to the team. And we saw in high school, he went to multiple high schools, had some issues there, some character issues. But the guys, for him to fall all the way to 20 was a very solid pick for a guy that can play multiple positions and be versatile. But let's hear from Hawks general manager Travis Schlenk on picking Jalen Johnson.
Yeah, no. So listen, he's an extremely talented player. Um, Great size, great ball skills, rebounds, defends. Um, Obviously, had some issues at Duke. Some stuff in high school as well. But when you're picking at 20 and then that sort of talent, certainly feel good about it. The group had a chance to interview him in Chicago and felt good with everything. So we're excited to add a player of his talent level to the roster.
And as I mentioned, he can play multiple positions. And here is Schlenk on where he sees him going or playing on the court.
He's got the defensive versatility to play a lot of different positions, as you saw this year at Duke. And he's got the ball skills to play on the perimeter, but the size and strength to play inside as well. So, we view him as kind of the modern NBA, being able to play both inside and outside and defensive versatility.
And the Hawks made another shrewd pick in the second round with their 48th pick of the draft in the second round with Shariff Cooper, the guard out of Duke. I think him and Trey Young are the only freshmen in the past 20 plus years that have averaged 20 plus points and 8 plus assists as a freshman. So it's interesting. He goes, Trey Young's the only guy to do that, and now he's going to go to the same team as Trey Young. I mean, Cooper, you saw him be. I saw projections of him being a lottery pick or maybe late in the first round. For him to fall all the way to 48, similar maybe to Johnson. The interviews didn't go well with the teams. I know Johnson had issue with the foot, so I should have mentioned as well. And Schlenk assured the media that they reviewed the X-rays or the medical charts and that Johnson's healthy and ready to go in that regard. I didn't hear anything as far as Cooper with injury goes, but maybe just a maturity question or things like that. But point is, you have I think, a lottery caliber talent in the second round, and he's from Metro Atlanta. Went to McEachern, so in Powder Springs, Georgia. I want to say Marietta, but it's Powder Springs. Cobb. I live in Cobb County. You gotta get your cities right, whether it's Powder Springs, Mableton, Austell, Kennesaw, Ackworth. You gotta get them right. But he went to McEachern and is a very special talent. And here is Schlenk on picking Cooper in the second round.
Yeah, so we had him ranked much higher, obviously, than 48. So we got pretty excited when we saw him there late. Just a really, really good playmaker. Good with the ball in his hands. Very good passer. Pushes tempo. Has the ability to get to the foul line. He did come in and work out for us, and he shot the ball much better than he did this past year. So we feel like the jump shot will be there. So we're excited to add him to our program as well.
Yeah, and both of those guys are going to have their media availability later on today. So we'll get some quotes from there and some audio and have that for the next show. As far as the rest of the draft goes, it's just some of these guys are going to be superstars and produce really well and be really talented players, but I just don't know who it's going to be. There's no Zion Williamson or LeBron James or Anthony Davis where you're like, look at that guy, or even Luka Doncic or DeAndre Ayton from the draft a few years ago, and Trey Young, where you said, oh, top five guys. Like, okay, I've seen that guy play. He is going to be a special talent. I've seen Cade Cunningham play. Obviously, he checks all the boxes as far as a big point guard. He's a really good player. I think one of my trepidations, I think the main reason I have him, you look at the organizations they're going to. They're outside of Golden State, which was they're an odd team to be in the lottery because of their injuries and things that they've been dealing with. And then Toronto had a really bad year last year, but they're usually a pretty solid organization. We've seen them be successful for many years and be in the championship conversation. But I look at these teams. Cade Cunningham going to Detroit. Detroit's a mess right now. They're still trying to work their way out of the Blake Griffin era and the Stan Van Gundy era. They're going to be very bad. The Houston Rockets are a dumpster fire right now. After trading James Harden, we saw them have that long losing streak in last year. Jalen Green out of the G League. He's a really good player, but they're in a bad spot. Cleveland Cavaliers are a mess. Evan Mobley, the post player out of USC, he's going to Cleveland. Looks like a modern big man. Gives you that Chris Bosh type of vibe. Just a long, lanky forward that can do a lot of things for you. But Cleveland's a mess. Scotty Barnes going to Toronto. As I said, the Raptors have been a solid organization in the past, but they're really towards the end of that. Kyle Lowry most likely won't be with that team, I think, by the start of the regular season. And Siakam, he had he's a really good player, but he had a down year. They're an organization. They're not awful, but they're not where you want. And then Jalen Suggs going to Orlando. The Magic, they're just churning the wheel. Josh Giddey, point guard at Australia. He's Oklahoma City. He was a sixth pick. Oklahoma City is in massive rebuild mode, and I know they have a few. They have Dort. They have some players maybe of interest, but they're going to be a really bad team. Sacramento's a bad team. New Orleans. I know Zaire Williams. He went there. I just don't see any of these teams. Charlotte Hornets. I know I like LaMelo Ball, but they're trying to figure things out. I know they were in a play-in situation this past year, but I look at these teams just in the top 10 or top 11, and it's just not good. So these players, I think, are talented guys, but they're just not going to be in very good situations with their organizations. That's why my trepidation with how good these guys are going to be is kind of iffy at best.